The heart of Paul's letter to the Colossians can be found in the middle of chapter 3. It's not just that the passage is one of Paul's best pieces of writing, it's that it goes to the very heart of what it means to live a Christian life. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Saturday, May 7th, 2022. If you're just joining us, we're reading through Paul's letter to the Colossians. Like all of Paul's letters, it's not a newsy letter like we would write to a family member or to a friend to catch them up on what we've been doing. For all we know, Paul did write letters like this, but they wouldn't have survived because they don't really concern Christian faith and life. Instead, Colossians addresses an issue facing that particular congregation, and probably one that faced other churches as well. The issue, in short, was the presence of other philosophical and religious belief systems that tempted members of the church to incorporate those systems into their own beliefs. Paul's essential point about the Christian faith is that it presents exclusive claims on believers' lives. No idea of mixing and matching religious ideas. But now, Paul turns from the substance of the Christian faith to the substance of the Christian life, from belief to action. He begins this whole section with the words, "So if you have been raised with Christ," that is, raised to new life, "seek the things that are above." This is a direct response to the kind of overly legalistic life that others have been urging on them. The competing belief systems often required stringent rules about eating and drinking, about what to wear. Paul rejects this excessive form of asceticism, though let's be clear, Paul is no libertine. Christian faith does bring with it its own form of self-discipline. "Put to death, therefore, whatever in you is earthly," says Paul. These include, in Paul's words, fornication, impurity, passion, evil desire, and greed, which is idolatry. The self-discipline of the Christian life involves putting away things like anger, wrath, malice, slander, and abusive language. We're starting to get a sense of what the Christian life entails for Paul. All of these things are social. That is, they involve the way members of the church should treat one another. Denying oneself food and wine and other stringent restrictions aren't it. In fact, they can become a source of false pride, with the Christian life becoming a contest to see who can live the most stringent life. But for Paul, it's not about these things. The Christian life is not a contest. It is about the way we treat one another. In some of the best prose that appears in any of his letters, he says, "As God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Bear with one another, and if anyone has a complaint against another, forgive each other. Just as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in the one body. And be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. Teach and admonish one another in all wisdom. And with gratitude in your hearts, sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs to God. And whatever you do in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him." These are words that I repeat at nearly every wedding that I perform. They are a fitting charge to anyone who wants to live the Christian life. Values like kindness, compassion, humility, these are the hallmarks of the Christian life, not excessively strict dietary practices. But one word stands above all the rest: forgiveness. It is absolutely central to the Christian life. If I were forced to come up with a short list of words that together best summarize the Christian faith and the life that we should live, forgiveness would be very high on my list, perhaps even one of the top 5. It has a dual dimension to it. We've been forgiven by God. That's where our faith begins, with the realization that God has forgiven us. The other dimension, often overlooked, is the obligation we have to forgive others. One of Jesus' most challenging parables, in fact, involves a manager who owed a great deal of money to his boss. When his boss threatened punishment, he begged for mercy, and his boss was merciful to him. But when that same manager went out to collect from those who owed him, he did not show the same mercy his boss had shown him. The point is simple and clear. If we are to claim God's forgiveness for us, we cannot in turn withhold our forgiveness of others. For Paul, these are the things that make up the Christian life. Not some stringent moral code, but simply a way of life in which our kind and forgiving treatment of others is the way we express our faith. When we return next week, we learn that context is everything. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.